In this skill, we're going to be looking at nuclear reactions and determining if they are fission or fusion reactions. In this question, we've got uranium-235 taking part in the following nuclear reaction. So we can see we've got our uranium here, and it's bombarded by a neutron. And then we form this barium atom and this krypton atom, and 3 neutrons left over. So we can see we've got a big uranium atom with 235 protons and neutrons. We end up with a smaller barium atom with 141 protons and neutrons, and a smaller krypton atom with 92 protons and neutrons. So our uranium atom gets split up into a barium and a krypton atom. The thing that started off this process was being bombarded by a single neutron, and in the end we get 3 extra neutrons released. So let's answer our questions. What happens in this reaction? Well, we have a heavy nucleus, that's this uranium, split into 2 lighter nucleus, barium and krypton. What starts this reaction off? Well, we definitely start with a heavy nucleus and it's bombarded by a neutron. So that'll be our first answer there. What is our name for this process? So fission is when something big splits up into 2 smaller nuclei. Nuclear fusion is when 2 smaller nuclei combine to form a bigger one. So this is going to be fission because it's splitting up our big uranium nucleus to form 2 smaller ones. In terms of the image that best describes this process, we've got a big nucleus getting split in 2. That's shown in image B here. So the answer is going to be B. Let's do another question of this type. In this question, we have boron-7 taking part in our nuclear reaction. We can see we've got boron to start with, and we're adding beryllium. We're ending up with fluorine. So looking at our mass numbers there, we had 7 protons and neutrons in boron. It's added to beryllium, which has 12 protons and neutrons, and it forms fluorine, which has 17 protons and neutrons. So those 2 smaller atoms are combining to form fluorine, the bigger atom, and we have 2 neutrons released as well. So what happens in this reaction? We've got 2 nuclei combining to form a heavy nucleus. What starts this reaction off? Well, we've got boron and beryllium combining together. So in this situation, we have 2 lighter nuclei colliding with each other. Those are our 2 lighter nuclei that combine to form fluorine, our heavier nuclei. What is the name for this process? Remember, fission is splitting up, fusion is joining together. So this one's going to be fusion because they're joining together to form fluorine. And which image best depicts this process? We've got 2 smaller nuclei joining together to form a bigger one. So that's going to be A here. Let's do a couple more examples. In this question, we have nobelium-241 taking part in our nuclear reaction. So we can see we're starting with that nobelium atom here. It's being bombarded by an alpha particle, and then it's forming this palladium nucleus with an atomic mass of 90, and the cerium nucleus with an atomic mass of 152, plus 3 neutrons. So we've got a really heavy atom to start with, nobelium, with 241 protons and neutrons. Splits up to form palladium and cerium, which are both lighter. So what happens in this reaction? We have a nucleus, and it splits into 2 lighter nuclei. What starts the reaction off? This time it was an alpha particle that started off the reaction. What's the name for this process? Well, we've got a big atom splitting in 2, so that's going to be fission. Which image depicts the process? That's going to be B, because we've got a big nucleus splitting into 2 smaller ones. Let's do one last question. In this question, we have phosphorus-33, which is shown here. That means it's got 33 protons and neutrons. It's bombarded with an alpha particle, and it forms chlorine-37 with 37 protons and neutrons. So in this one, our phosphorus is bombarded by the alpha particle, and they combine together to form chlorine. So we had two lighter nuclei combining to form a heavier nucleus. And the thing that started this reaction off is the heavier nucleus, phosphorus, being bombarded with an alpha particle. The name for this process, since we've got two things combining together, is nuclear fusion. And our best image for that would be A. We've got two nuclei joining together to form one bigger one. So you can see in these last two examples, both were bombarded with an alpha particle. But the first example showed fission, where the large particle split into two, and this example showed fusion, where our alpha particle actually fuses with our other particle to form a bigger one. So being bombarded with an alpha particle can be either fission or fusion, so watch out for that. The important thing to look at is the initial nucleus you have, and to see if that combines with something else to form a bigger nucleus, or if it splits up to form two smaller nuclei.